Joy to the world, all the boys and girls.
Can't Sell Sports on the Beehive Meals are honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. Nominate the youth sports volunteer for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week at kslsports.com/contest and listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. It's the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week.
I think the singer of this band died the other day, hence the music.
Question up on our Facebook page. What can BYU basketball do to avoid playing a bad first half? PK, we got a long list of answers, and we can go through them, but I can sum them all up right here by telling you very few of them have anything to do with physical. It's all mental stuff.
Yeah.
It's mind games. John says, tell them to play like they're down by 30. That's when they play their best basketball.
Well,
Ken says, have a hypnotist tell them they're down by 20 to start the game.
And like that, you snap out of it. I think that they, certainly home games, maybe even road games, tomorrow night in Stillwater, in that basketball arena.
Yeah.
Which is connected, that where you see them, the one end zone where there's a building that's like the locker room. It's everything in there.
When you watch it on TV, is it off to the right?
It's in the end zone.
Yeah, the end zone to the right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
When you watch it on TV.
Yeah.
Right.
And you see that building. I was wandering through it, and then all of a sudden, there I am. It's under the same roof.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. But they shouldn't refuse. They should refuse to be introduced and tell I guess I was going to say OKC, but just OK State, it's your ball to start the game. So we're thinking it's the start of the second half. So we don't have any pregame introductions. Just turn your back on it. Go be in the locker room. And then take the court, and you don't even have the center jump. Give the ball to the Cowboys. Trick them into thinking this is the second half.
Would you give them a 10-point lead? Guys, we're down!
No.
They need to trail to play their best.
No, they just need to think it's the second half. Something's got to be done. This is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. A quality team with multiple NBA players now. You got multiple.
Fact. 2 for sure, maybe more.
Yeah.
Maybe a third.
Yeah. And you keep falling behind and have these incredible rallies. You're going to have 4 or 5 times? When does that ever happen? Maybe in the NBA because you play 3 times the games. But in the college game and in conference, when every conference game is huge.
There are a few people with basketball theories and who stay away from the psychology. Tony says, get the players some space and hit open shots. Thinks they're taking too many contested shots.
But only in the first half.
The isolation game, it does appear to get a little stagnant at times.
But only in the first half.
Yes.
That doesn't make any sense.
Jace, get to Banson and I'll be a black hole on offense and play some defense. Okay, well, when they were in isolation plays, that's how it's going to look. But I get your point, Jace. You want to see the ball move.
He doesn't take that many shots in the first half, and they're down by 20.
I know. Didn't take any in the first 8 minutes, right?
11.
11 minutes.
Yeah. It was like 11:49. He took his first FGA. He's not exactly forcing it.
Everybody else got one?
Yeah. I'd have to go through every single time he touched the ball, every single possession, and I can't do it off the top of my head, even though I'm watching the game, as to why that didn't happen, that he didn't take that shot. I'm sure they do. That's their jobs, and they got 50 people down there to do it.
And especially by the time they've watched all the film. But, yeah, watching live, they're seeing how often there's help. He's doubled.
So find a way for an accomplished NBA basketball mind, or just basketball mind for that matter, in Kevin Young. This is baffling. And I'm sure it's baffling to him, too.
Do you think we're going to get a week or two down the line and they're going to figure it out like they did last year? Because last year we were baffled. Now, it was earlier in the conference season. By the time we got to this point in the calendar a year ago, they were figuring it out, and we realized they were figuring it out. Because there is something to be said of, like, the coaches have to figure it out, but then they have to get the players to do something that they haven't done before and to play a different way. And for most of these guys, this is the best competition. Big 12 conference basketball is the best competition they faced, with a possible exception of an international tournament.
The problem with this team, though, and figuring it out, is there's not much to figure out.
The lack of depth here is starting to...
They don't... Like, watching last night, there's a kid for Texas Tech who averages 12 points a game, and midway through the second half, he's got 17. And we saw that Tiller.
Yeah.
They don't have anybody like that.
No.
So what do they... Last year, they had to figure out personnel.
Mm-hmm.
There's no personnel to figure out.
Unless one of these guys who's a role player suddenly turns into, hey, I gave you 15 when you didn't expect it. But that's not happening.
Right.
I mean, we're adding up to, was it 5 guys played 66 minutes and combined to score 5 points against Kansas?
I mean, last year they discovered catching wasn't where it was at, and his aunt's up there in the stands and on Twitter pouting.
Yeah.
And so they bring in Mag, and the guy helps him. And where was he earlier in the season? Well, we're late in the season now. We're still enough time, but we're later. And it doesn't seem like there's anybody that they can pluck in and say, you could develop into a nice role player for us.
And the thing I think that's a real red flag here is if I can't figure out who the player who's going to evolve is, okay, well, I'm not at practice all the time. I wasn't at all the summer workouts, right? They may see something I don't, but when they go the unusual route of bringing a guy in who wasn't on the team, who was playing in the G League, and Ahmed, then maybe they don't see anybody either.
Well, because they don't have anybody.
Right. That's what I think. I think because they saw all those workouts we didn't see and all these team practices, they're like, we better go get somebody because nobody here is going to emerge.
But it still doesn't
totally
answer
explain the question in the
why
first
are you
half.
so hot and cold? Or
Do you
cold
think
and
there's,
hot?
and we have different people going to youth and immaturity, which Braxton does. The more AJ has the ball in his hands, the more I realize he isn't worth $7 million. He's young. He makes stupid mistakes. They're not going to make him pass the round of 16 in March Madness if they keep playing like this. All the coaches that say get old, stay old, all the rosters we see that are just laden with juniors and seniors, not just this year, but last year we were going through it too, and they're counting on 19 and 20-year-olds. Now, Wright has seen the Big 12 before. I mean, he was in Baylor last year, so it's not a complete mystery to him. But the guy who delivered was 24. The guy who delivered at Kansas the big game, Saunders, he's been through this a lot. Now, maybe I'm just cherry-picking good data there because he's had games where he wasn't the guy who was on fire. But nonetheless, on the road in a tough spot, it was the 24-year-old who came through. So when we're talking roster building next year, it's like they got to go out and find some 4th and 5th year guys who they think are good players to build that depth. Don't try to build that depth with young guys. You still want to go out and get a couple top guys and are freshmen and sophomores, and you can't deny the talent.
I think it's where they got hurt with Baker.
Oh, clearly.
I mean, he's got what you're looking for. I don't see youth as the problem for the first half starts.
You don't think it's immaturity? We got
because
this.
They didn't get any. They got minutes older in the second half.
Well, yeah, but then they play with a sense of desperation because they're down.
Okay, then play with a sense of desperation in the first half. And if you're playing with a sense of desperation, if that's the key, and if playing with a sense of desperation solves all your problems, then they're going to be in the Final Four. Then
also this whole argument that we always hear that I actually kind of hate, but we hear, he's not a freshman anymore. He's played 30 games. So if you're young and you're just figuring this out, well, how many times do you have to get hit beside the head to figure it out? You've lost 3 of the last 4, and you've done this 6 or 7 times. But they got away with it when they did it in December. They rallied and beat those teams. So now maybe they're finally learning their lesson. Maybe we're going to turn on this game at Oklahoma State and finally see them get off to a good start just because they're sick and tired of losing.
Well, I would suspect that they would beat Oklahoma State because they're better.
Yeah.
And the teams that they lost to in those situations, they weren't better. And it doesn't matter what grade level is assigned to you.
Beat Oklahoma State, but then here comes Houston, and the bar is raised again.
Yeah, but that's another story.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about first half collapses and second halves where the switch it is
it's night and
such
day.
It's
night and day. It's startling.
Turnaround. Yeah. This is incredible. The rally against Arizona was incredible. The rally against Kansas was just short of incredible. I mean, they never had the ball with the chance to take the lead.
No.
They came up a little short. And I think that they were the beneficiary of referees wanting to be cheered a little bit. But that's what you get at home and on the road. That's as old as the game. So find a way to be more consistent. Because even I think one of the things we're overlooking is they could have been consistent as they want against Arizona and Kansas and still lost those games. So it's not like if they went into the locker room down by 5 or up by 2 that, then they win those games. Because the other team has the opportunity to play desperate too. So you don't know that, if they just would have played better in the first half.
Then maybe it's a game where they trade the lead and nobody ever leads by more than 6, and then whoever hits a shot at the end wins the game.
Yeah.
Which would feel different than you're constantly getting down by double digits and 20 points.
Yeah. As far as entertaining, their second halves are must-see basketball.
Nah.
I mean, it's really fun, any team, to see them be down by 20 in the second half and roar back. And then whether you're at home or on the road you'll get the anxiety of the fans, and at home you'll get the wild emotion of the fans. And then they have to stop playing. They're trying to beat two things each time this happens. They're trying to beat the opponent, and they're trying to beat the clock. This isn't baseball where you got 27, I got 27. And
the clock is ticking.
Yeah. And trying to beat the clock
hurry up
is a problem.
Hurry up can be a problem.
It's difficult enough to beat Kansas at Kansas and Arizona, no matter where you're playing them. But then you're trying to beat the clock, too. And you're running out of time every time. Don't do that. Go to where you can just play your game and run your offense, do what you're supposed to do defensively, and then see what happens. I'd rather have that than these wild swings. I'd rather have them lose a hotly contested game where there was a level of even back and forth. Because somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose. That's the way it is.
But at least
I can live with that.
At least you don't have a stretch of anywhere from 10 to 15 to 20 minutes of bad basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, you're giving up 52 or 53 points, whatever it was, and being down by 20 at the half. It's just a massive red flag. There's no way around it.
Because you're going to lose most of the time if you have to beat the opponent and the clock.
But they got away with it 3 or 4 times. So mentally, do they think they can pull it off? I mean, Clemson was remarkable, but there are a bunch of other games where they were down big.
Well, yeah, that Delaware they knew full well. TCU, they probably thought they could at home.
Right.
TCU and Fort Worth, another story.
And if you go back to the Wisconsin game, that's a game where they traded hoops for a long time, and then they did play better later, and then they just blew
they put
it open.
The hammer on them.
Yeah, they blew that thing open.
Right.
Now, that's still
more like it.
Very different levels of basketball, and they got better as the game went along, and there was a stretch where they were much better later than they'd been early, but when they were not great early, they were trading hoops.
Right. Well, they were fine. They were just
Yeah.
kind of in a feeling out process, playing the game of basketball. Wisconsin has good players. Yeah. And then you put the hammer down and you smoked them. That's great, too. I'm fine with that. And that's a customary way to win. As the game progresses, you get more comfortable, and then away you go. Yeah, I would love to see that tomorrow night. And Houston, that's probably the way it's going to be if you win. It's hard to pull away from Houston.
Yeah.
There's
not that many points scored in a typical Houston game. Every once in a while you see Houston play a high-scoring game, but in an era where the score has gone more towards 75 or 80 points, they
can blow you out, but I don't see
games.
them getting blown out. But this is really cool in a sense that, okay, you've got these huge, huge expectations, and maybe the expectations were too hard. One of the most difficult things to do in sports is meeting expectations.
Well, when you said they were doing 2 things, beat the opponent, and then you went to the clock, I thought you were going to say beat expectations.
Well, that's over the course of the season, and you have individual judgment points. But, yeah, and I'm writing about this. They'll post it here later today, that DeMonsa trying to meet expectations is almost nearly impossible.
Be the number one player and go to the Final Four.
Yeah.
And lots of number one draft picks don't go to the Final Four. Occasionally it happens. Anthony Davis pulled it off at Kentucky.
Well, it happened last year.
Yeah. Yeah, Duke. And, of course, Duke did have the 4. He had a lot of help.
Well,
They don't
still happened.
They don't have 4 NBA guys, but yeah, it happened.
Yeah, and that for him/them to meet expectations, it's really hard. I would say I would favor 75% that they don't.
Go Final Four?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Totally reasonable.
Yeah. That's the hardest thing to do. And these expectations are, to an extent, outside expectations, but also inside. And now you factor in the money. Yeah, the money. And
I'm surprised you took that long to factor it in. It's never far away.
The Dodgers take all sorts of heat for money.
Yeah.
And if you're a Dodger fan, well, everybody could do it. And if you're not, this stinks, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But we all know. I would like now to make them publish your salary, your bottom line. How much money is each team making?
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Coaches need to be graded on a curve. I mean, we're just going to keep firing the coaches who don't have a great record, and then you find out, well, they only got 40% of the money as somebody else, or 60% of the money.
And I felt
then you know
last
how
night
much of a curve
watching that game. Most teams in the Big 12, most teams in the country, they're not going to compete with that. We laughed.
You're talking about Kansas and Texas Tech. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you know those two schools have invested in their basketball team. You're about to tell a softball story, aren't you?
We were talking about it yesterday.
Yeah,
they
right
came
after the
out
show.
with the Big 12 softball. And the season starts now.
Uh-huh.
This is their week, and then next week is baseball, right? And they came out with the Big 12 all-conference softball. And they had and this was on social media, and they had the school logo. Mm-hmm. Well, your eye immediately goes to, wait a second, there's one logo on there 3 times more than any other logo.
The logo keeps repeating. And instead of chaos, your eye goes to it because it's so orderly.
Right. It's on the
line.
second half.
Yeah. Falls right in line.
And it's Texas Tech.
Huh.
Yeah. And they got that candidate gal who blows smoke and just dominates.
The pitcher we've talked about who transferred from Stanford for $1 million.
And she took him to College World Series last year. And I went back and looked at Texas Tech's record, softball. They're like 27, 22, and they were good, but not great. And then you look at last year, 54 and 3. What the hell's the difference?
What changed? I can't put my finger on it.
They paid for this phenomenal success. And we ought to do that. I want to see that more like we do with the Dodgers.
Right. Well, we do with all pro sports. It always comes out, and we know. I mean, football, there isn't much wiggle room.
Right. And in basketball, there's not that much.
But in baseball, it really is telling.
Yeah,
You know the Rays are
Baseball and college sports are the same now.
They are. Yeah. And we want to see in college sports, who are the Rays trying to outpunch their weight?
Yeah.
Or the Royals at one point, or Oakland at one point. Yeah. All right, Brian Geltzeiler, SiriusXM NBA radio host, joins us next. Mike Folt at the top of the hour. Stay with us. NBA Draft Talk right around the corner.